something that I think we can all relate to here, multitasking. Some are really good at it. Others need a little more help juggling a lot of tasks at once. So what does it say about our brains if we can only successfully handle things one step at a time? Our 9 News health and medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, joins us in studio to offer some insight. So, it seems like the best way to make efficient use of your time, but is it necessarily a good thing?
No, in fact, it's a terrible thing.
Oh.
And so we think, those of us, including myself, that multitask, think that we can do a great job multitasking. But if we actually do cognitive testing, what we realize is that our brains were not designed for multitasking. So I want you, Shalima, to think about this like switching the channel in your brain constantly, or having multiple tabs open on your computers. And that's called task switching. So we pay a price for that task switching. And in fact, if you look at efficiency studies, those of us that multitask have 40% less efficiency in terms of doing tasks because we're task switching so much. And if you look at our memory, we're less likely to make long-term memories. We use up our oxygen or nutrients of our brain, so we have more brain fog and more fatigue. And we can actually have more psychological distress and stress from all the task switching.
You know, as women, we kind of wear it as a badge of honor, and we're like, okay, we're really great at multitasking. We've got to show the men we're really great at doing it.
Yeah.
But what is the long-term effect on not just ourselves, but the people around us?
So we start to see a lot of long-term changes. So first is what I alluded to, which is memory. So our brains are designed to essentially evolve in a way that if we spend a lot of time on a task, our brain thinks it's important, let's put it into long-term memory. So we're not as good at learning new tasks if we're one of those people that constantly task switches. We're more likely to make mistakes and errors. And so those of us that are task switch do worse in terms of their performance on cognitive tests. And interestingly, if you look at the structure of the brain, those of us that do something called media multitasking, which I do all the time, you have the TV on and you're on your phone, right? Or you're on a Zoom call and then you get on your phone and start looking at notifications or emails, those types of things. 60% of Americans do this. Those of us that do that actually have shrinkage, less density of area of our brain involved in attention, called the anterior cingulate cortex. And all of this translates into more stress, which means more anxiety, more depression, more stress hormones, and a higher blood pressure and heart rate for multitaskers.
Okay, so I know we don't have much more time, but I do have to ask it. Is there something we can do to be more efficient while also not compromising our mental health and our overall health?
Yes, and so it's a really good formula. So we can multitask, like you know how they say you can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah.
And automatic tasks. So if you're walking and listening to a podcast, that kind of multitasking is actually okay. But 2 things that require concentration or memory, like looking at your phone, looking at your email, watching TV, those should not be done at the same time. So what the experts in the American Psychological Association recommend, 30 minutes per task. Try to turn off notifications, clear the clutter from your desk, and see if you can focus for 20 to 30 minutes on just one single task. And in the long term, it's actually going to make you more efficient, less stressed, better memory. And even for our kids and our adolescents, it means fewer behavioral problems if they're focusing on one thing at a time.
All right, challenge accepted.
All
For
right.
everyone out there, Dr. Payal Kohli joining us this morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me. And ironically, I was multitasking while preparing for this segment, so it was a wake-up call for me.